and he was on an all-male podcast, and he was talking about, hey, here's my advice for getting married. Wait till you're 35, sleep with at least 50 women, make $100,000 a year, and have 6 months to a year saved up. Now you're ready for marriage. That's the worst advice I've ever heard in my entire life. What's going on, people? It's the Not Offended Podcast. It's your boy, Anthony, the conservative Chicano, right here, sitting next to my boy, the Bill, the agent. Man, Bill, I got to talk some Raider news with you, bro. I was just out. Shout out to Alameda, Encore Church. I was just out there. They're not there no more, just so you know. The Raiders are not there no more. They're not there, but man, you can feel they left an imprint. You know what I mean? Like I could feel it was Raider Nation.
The crime or what?
The black hole still there?
Black hole still crime.
Well, hey, I didn't even introduce you guys. You guys are already picking on us over here. Hey, you got the token and you got the bishop. There you go. Why when it comes to my Raiders, you guys just can't leave me alone?
It's easy pickings.
But why? Why can't you leave me alone? Why can't I just have a moment?
I like the Raiders. It's just easy. Okay,
well, since we're on there right now, how do you like my new quarterback, Jimmy G? Jimmy G going to go to the Bunny Ranch. First thing he said.
You went there? You went to the Raiders?
Yeah.
He's a Raiders quarterback.
Bro, where you been?
That's the most Raider thing ever.
Gotcha.
To get the
No, Jamarcus Russell was the most Raider thing ever. Hayward Bebe was
Jimmy G just might work out, man. He looks like Vegas, right? Like
we're gonna start this podcast over. Hold on, time. Stop. We're gonna start this. Hit the rewind. Hey, welcome to the Not Offended Podcast. We got
how many wins?
Don't do that.
How many wins?
I'm thinking
12. I'm thinking
no.
We're getting excited, Pastor.
No, I'm not getting excited, Bill. No, listen. The guy comes out and says, "I can't wait to be a Raider, and one of my first stops is gonna be the Bunny Ranch." 2 words: Lamar Odom.
He said that for real?
He did.
You went from Derek Carr.
It might just.
I mean, a true disciple, man of God.
Yeah,
it might not have been a good fit. That's
you went to Big
G
Pun. I'm not a player. That's who you went to with Jimmy G. He straight went Big Pun over here, bro. This is so bad.
It's bad.
Okay, this is. I don't. What are you gonna say about my Raiders again?
None. That's all I need to say.
What you gonna say about my Raiders now?
We're good.
So what do you think? He's seeking endorsement from the Bunny Ranch, probably. You know, he's gonna be an official sponsor. This is great.
It is Vegas.
I mean, what did they think was going to happen putting an NFL team in Vegas?
Well, I go from Derek Carr, who is a man of God. He's literally, he's walking the walk, talking the talk, doing good things. And then I get, Jimmy G, Mr. Playboy himself. I'm not a player anymore, right? I get that guy. and the first thing he says, I'm excited to be here, and I can't wait to go to the Bunny Ranch.
That's what I'm saying. It may just work. Let's go. Oh, you got to introduce the guys. You haven't introduced the fellas yet.
I did. They introduced themselves. This is Not Offended Podcast. Hey, okay, we're moving on. We talk about culture that's influencing the church. Shout out to everybody watching me in Alameda. Just got back from Encore Church. Shout out to my boys in Louisiana, NorCal, SoCal, everywhere that you be tuning in. We appreciate it so much. Remember, if you can hit the subscribe button, you get the like button, give us a 5-star review. One day, what? Jake might get paid. That's what I'm talking about. Find us on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube. I mean, I like YouTube. I like watching our expressions. Although I'm the one who's probably the most animated. You guys never really smile or anything, but it's okay.
I waved earlier.
You did wave. Yeah. And I was expecting to do the country white man wave. It's just like that.
Just
you know
put
what I mean?
on the microphone.
There you go. There it is right there. That's the country white man. Did you know that, Deshaun? That in the country, if you're driving, that's
you
the
put your hand on the steering wheel and
like this.
You're like hello as you just kind of.
That's it. You're ready. You gonna go drive some country now? You ready? That's it.
We could do it. Mike's not doing it from the country. Right from the city.
But every white guy knows the country wave. It's like they're born into it.
Gotcha.
It's just born into them.
Drive a truck.
So I want to talk to you guys about some, in blessed memory of Dr. John Amstutz, who is a mentor of mine, passed away this week. Dr. John impacted the lives of so many people. Yeah. He was a missionary. He was a professor. He was a mentor. He was a pastor. He was a pastor's pastor. Yeah. And I know a lot of us, went to his classes and even learned under his tutelage. But that's not the only passing. We also had the passing of a legendary missionary in Cambodia, Dr. Ted Albrecht. And then, of course, Dr. Jack Kafer passed away about a month or so ago, or maybe 2 months. And I wanted to bring this up because we see the passing of a generation. And in my opinion, it was one of the greatest generations to ever live. It was the builders. Mm-hmm. It were those people. And I pulled up the generation chart. And they actually call them the silent generation, but another term for them was the builder generation because they came home from the war and they literally built everything we see today. It was just an impressive thing. And basically, the oldest of them are 93 and the youngest of them are 73. Their years were 25 to 45. And this was an unprecedented generation. It was a huge generation. But they also gave birth to what at one time was the largest generation, known as the boomers. And I think it's really interesting because as we're watching the passing of this generation, because they're just older now, I really think to myself, man, we're in for it because we have a generation of baby boomers, the youngest being 54 and the oldest being 73. Like they're really in the crux of what we would just call the middle of society. They are the ones empowered. And to be honest with you, and I say this the best way I can, respectfully, I'm not that big of a fan of the boomer generation. I feel like as far as church-wise, a lot of things that we have going on, the issues we have, it was on the boomers' watch. And they were not like the generation before them. They were very self-centered. They were very corporate. They were very greed-oriented. If you think about what was going on, I'm not saying that about all boomer people. I'm just using general terms. If you think about it, even in the church, on the boomer watch, we had this whole seeker-friendly church. We really had an abdication of the word of God. We had a lot of things take place, and we didn't have a lot of empowerment, not a lot of baton passing. And so we're seeing that now that for the first time ever in history, we don't even have enough pastors to fill pulpits. And as far as church planting, it's going the way it's going the way of the dinosaurs. It's not happening. So we're really watching something pass where you had the World War II generation, which was all about empowerment, all about building up, all about saying, hey, listen, we're going to, pass the baton to the next generation. And I just feel like there's a shift happening. There's a radical shift happening. And I just want to get you guys' thoughts on that. What do you know about the greatest generation or the builder generation? What do you know about the boomer generation? How do you guys feel about what you see taking place? So you guys, just so everybody knows, I'm the only Gen Xer on this panel. Bill, you fall right on the...
I'm in the middle.
Well,
Gen X and Millennial.
Millennial, yeah. You fall right on that, what we call gray area. But you two, you definitely the millennials. You are the ones who, yeah, I got the gray hair. Okay, go ahead. So anyway, I just want to throw that out there. The millennials were all about their feelings. All about their feelings, all about equity, all about pronouns. That's your generation.
No, that's not our generation. No.
I didn't say you had to accept it, Deshaun.
That's not our generation.
That's your generation.
No, that's the next one. Whatever's next.
No, it's yours. It's yours.
What's the next one called?
The next one is Generation Y.
Yeah, there you go. So it's their fault.
No. Sorry, the next one's Gen Zs.
Gen Z.
Gen Zs. And that's not you guys. Sorry. I apologize. That's not you guys. You are definitely the ones who wanted participation trophies. That's you guys. That's when it all started. Everybody gets a trophy.
Did you ever get a participation? I never got a participation trophy.
No, I got made fun of. We got yeah. You sucked.
Yeah.
You was fat. You was skinny.
Yeah. Everybody's nickname was based off of what they looked like.
Let's not. You go get us in trouble. You start.
I had. There's this kid in high school. He had one leg. Okay.
Oh no! Here we go.
His name was Jake. You know what they called him? Peg leg Jake.
Oh my gosh!
Straight up, I'm telling you the story. He got in a fight at the park. Right? Dude punched him. He fell down. Took off his leg. Started beating him with his leg.
Where did you go to school? This is Portland, everybody. This is Portland.
Hey, he was a cool kid, but it was his fault. But I'm telling you, like.
You gonna bail your boy out over here?
Okay,
like,
it's our generation.
I think your point was made, man.
It is
talking about their generation right there. That was it.
That was it. You guys got all offended. You got all offended. You're deflecting. We understand. Okay, but let's go back. Let's go back to the boomers.
Wait, what did your generation do?
We're just quiet. They call us the quiet generation because we were latchkey kids. We raised ourselves. We know how to entertain ourselves. We grew up without parents. Yeah. Gen X, we're the forgotten ones. We're the quiet ones.
So what is the age? What is the
basically
span for that?
Basically on the Gen X, it goes 65 to really 1980. 65 to 80. We grew up with MTV. we're responsible for all the great things you see in life that has to do with media. Great movies, great music.
No, we put everything out there.
Wait.
No one have access to it.
But there is no great things. There is no great music, great movies.
Great music. Like we birthed MTV. That was our generation.
You guys are the age of the disco ball.
80s movies are the greatest.
We're born in those days. Our generation is really the 80s and 90s.
There you go. You're welcome. Yeah. Hip hop was born underneath that. I mean, I can go on. I mean, you're welcome. But let's go back to what I was talking about. So what do you guys think about the passing of a generation? See, they want participation trophies over here. That's what I'm saying.
We didn't ask to participate.
They're all look at, they're all in their feelings right now. They're all in the feelings, trying to,
whatever that generation that you're in, you guys just are living in La La Land or something like that. I don't know what that is.
So let's talk about that builder generation. What did you guys think? What did you think about? Do you see any difference between them and the boomer generation? I mean, you guys all know Dr. John.
I think that one of the things that we've talked about, and that I kind of have witnessed from a distance, I would say, is that the generation who you're talking about after the builder generation,
the boomers,
I just don't see a whole lot of church participation out of that generation.
Correct.
And see a lot of people who are in need of their wisdom. Right. A lot of people who are in need of their participation in church, and the people that I've seen, whether it be at our church or at other churches in that generation, is very, church is about me, my needs, and there isn't a whole lot of participation.
What's their age? What's the age you said they'd be right now?
The youngest would be 73.
73 to
93.
No, the one after that.
And they'd be 72 to 54.
Mm-hmm. Gosh, I don't know.
Mid 50s to mid 70s. People who are mid 50s.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, no, definitely. I think that age group. I definitely would think we need more in church. That's even for like our church. That's what I wish we had more of. That will take even bigger roles.
Tell me why.
I think it's important is to get they live life.
Yeah.
And so they just have things that you just can't have if you're just not living life. Like how to deal with certain things, how to really impart into you, like, hey, that's going to pass. You're going to be okay. And you're not.
But do you see a difference between that and what would essentially be your grandparents? So like your grandfather. So take somebody who's like your uncle, who is in their, let's just say, early 60s, as compared to your grandfather. Do you see a dichotomy, a difference there between the two? Work ethic, the way they approach the Bible, the way they approach life. I guarantee there's a huge difference.
I think especially when I was younger, it was always, I think that generation or the one that were younger, they were the ones always teaching, like especially like teaching the Bible. Like it was never.
Talk about your grandfather, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And so like in people around his age, they were always teaching like the scripture. It wasn't even like a lot of times like during the week. It wasn't ever the pastor. Like when I'm growing up.
No, it was the elders.
Yeah, and these are just like people who had other jobs.
Absolutely.
They weren't like didn't necessarily go to school for the teach.
Okay,
and stuff
that's
like that,
okay.
But they're well educated.
So
they knew the Bible.
So you're on my point. When did that change? That changed under the boomers.
Gotcha.
That changed under the tutelage of the boomers because we inherited a professional pastor. We inherited a professional pastor system where now all these people had to be pastors. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. This is what happened. That's what I'm saying. So go back and say it. So you said, I saw my grandfather and the rest of the men, the elders. That's what we called eldership back in the day. They were the ones teaching the young men. And then you said something that I don't think you were aware that you just said. It was the men. Now look at that. If you go back 70 years ago, 80 years ago, the participation of men was probably double of what we see now.
Yeah.
That's you see where I'm going with that?
So I'll tell you my experience in kind of hearing the teachings of this generation. So I used to have an old car growing up. You know, one of my first cars only had AM radio.
Let's go.
Okay.
That was a car built in America right there. That was America.
It was. So it was AM radio, and they used to have, I think, it was like 90 or 990 or something like that. They used to have these Christian teachers that came on, and it was folks from this generation. I used to listen. And
he listened to J. Vernon McGee is who he's listening to.
I was listening to them all. Mm-hmm. And I'll back what Deshaun said. They were just teachers of the word, right? And so they would teach the word consistently. And that's kind of what I see from that generation there. And so that was kind of my experiences in hearing those guys. So
Right. I think there are things we're not aware of, like, because I spent a lot of time with my grandfather, you know, blessed memory. I spent a lot of time with Amador, Grandpa Marty. And there's just things he taught me like we don't teach anymore. And, you know, this guy, he was salty. You know, he's a World War II vet. He's salty. He's like, you're just going to pull weeds just to pull weeds because it's good for you. You know, now that I'm older, it was good for me because, you know, one of the demarcations, one of the marks of a man is you do what you don't want to do. I'll say that again. One of the demarcations, one of the marks of a man is you do what you don't want to do so that someday you can have the luxury to do what you want to do. Mm-hmm. And I think we've lost that. When right now do we do that? Everything in my kid is crying, put a phone in front of him. My kid's not happy, put a phone in front of him. My kid's having problems at school, call the teacher. You're inserting yourself. My grandfather used to just sit there and watch me pull weeds, watch me struggle. Why? Because he knew that in struggling, I learned to adapt and to overcome. Now, listen, I'm not picking on nobody's parents. He said, don't get us in the comments. You know, Anthony over here trying to get parenting advice. I'm not. I'm just telling you what I learned. That generation. We get to the boomer generation, and it was all about corporate America. It was all about becoming a professional pastor. There is no professional pastor. It's a calling. It's the bottom line. And so I definitely see that, and it's interesting. And I'm not trying to put down any generations. My own generations, we got our own problems, right? Our pacification, our abdication and stuff. We got our own problems. But I'm just saying, I think there's a shift happening because this other generation is going to, it's like in the Bible when you read, and David went to be with his forefathers. And Joseph, you go back to the book of Exodus, and what does it say? And there rose a Pharaoh who did not remember Joseph. Mm-hmm. So something is dynamically shifting spiritually. That's all I wanted to say. And I think it has to do, I think we need a resurgence of masculinity. That's what I'm saying. If you go back to that generation, men knew how to be men. You got up every day. Those men built America. They built the roads. They built the rail tracks. They built it all. They built the skyscrapers. I mean, these were guys who were working on skyscrapers without any type of harnesses. These were, you know, laying, you know, concrete and asphalt and all. I mean, they built houses. Think about this. Yeah. This tough guys.
But if you're growing up today, why would you choose the hardships versus the comfort? Okay.
You mean convenience? Yeah.
Correct. So it's been said that if you're growing up middle class to upper class now, okay, if you're in the middle class to upper class, that's kind of what I'd say we'd fall in, okay? Your quality of life is better today than John D. Rockefeller.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, 100 years ago. So you look him up, wealthiest man on the earth, first billionaire ever, okay, 100 years ago. Your quality of life today when it comes to medicine, entertainment, travel, all this stuff, is better today if you're middle class than it was 100 years ago. But what happened is as the quality of life got better, right, we got further away from God.
Yeah.
Right? Further and further away. So I don't think and so we see that in society today. We still have issues, anxiety, depression. And so it doesn't line up. The society got better, but it seems like we're getting worse in some ways.
What's the old cliche? Strong men or hard times create strong men. Strong men create easy times. Easy times create weak men. And weak men, of course, create bad times. And then bad times create strong men. We just go in a cycle. So it brings me to, I think there's this, I think we're finding a culture. This is not a Offended podcast, but we're about to dive into it right here. I think there's two tracks running, and they're running almost all like on a 4-lane freeway, but we got the fast lane and we got a slow lane. So we got these two tracks going down the road, and we have a surgence. We have literally a surgence of masculinity. We have in some of it, I don't agree with it. Some of it I do agree with, but we got the Andrew Tates out there. We got these people, Kevin Samuel. We got these guys out there, non-biblical, teaching on masculinity. And what they've done is they've really taken some biblical concepts. And what they've done is they've put the world into them. They infused the world. And then we got some of the other people, the Ben Shapiro's, the Jordan Petersons, the people who have some sort of faith. And they're trying to do that. But we don't have anybody who's really, I would say those guys are in the middle. We don't have nobody on the Christian side, right? The Christian conservative side saying, hey, this is biblical masculinity. Here's what we need to be doing. We used to have the greats like Edwin Cole, who wrote Strong Men in Tough Times, Steve Farrar. We had these guys who were doing this. We had the Promise Keepers movement, right? And then it kind of faded out. There's something that needs to happen, because if not, this is what you get. I found this. Deshaun sent this to us, and this was the advice of a guy who's an influencer for men, and he was on an all-male podcast, and he was talking about, hey, here's my advice for getting married. Wait till you're 35, sleep with at least 50 women, make $100,000 a year, and have 6 months to a year saved up. Now you're ready for marriage. That's the worst advice I've ever heard in my entire life. And I'm talking specifically about the sleep with 50 women. You're going to get you some type of gonorrhea herpelate. Those are all the STDs rolled up into one. So you're going to get something like that, and you're going to wonder why stuff ain't working, because you done slept with 50 women who probably slept with 50 other men, which puts your body count up to like the 300s. So, but people are searching. This thing got so many hits, millions and millions and millions of hits. Why? Because men don't know how to be men. Go back to this builder generation. They knew what a man was. They just got back from war. They knew what it was to man up. They knew what it was to stay faithful. This is what I'm talking about. So you see this resurgence. What do you guys think about that guy's advice? What do you think? 50 women, 100K a year, 35. Obviously, we all got married before that, but what do you guys think about that advice? Want to jump in?
When should you get married, Mike? What age?
What age should you get married at?
When should you get married?
I don't know if there's an age per se that you should get married at.
I know as a Christian man, for me, the younger the better. That's all I'm saying.
How's it?
I don't know what y'all want me to say.
Couldn't wait too long.
Yeah, what you gonna say, Mike? What you gonna say over there now?
Yeah, I mean every dude is different. So, but the advice as far as like the money and the women, you're bringing so much baggage into any relationship that you
50. He said 50 women.
Yeah, that's just crazy. It's crazy. But
So-
that's where we're at right now. Like,
So I take it you ain't buying what he's selling.
no, that's ridiculous.
Deshaun, you picking up what he's throwing down?
You should have 0 women before you get married.
Okay, there we go. There we go.
Yeah.
Bishop spitting facts. Why is that? Tell us. Tell our audience. There's guys watching right now who are thinking that guy's advice was great.
It's biblical. So,
Yeah.
man, I'm part of it. I'm trusting God that if I do it His way, it's gonna work out better. It might not sound better, but we believe it's better because God's put.
What you mean it might not sound better? Why? Because every guy's out there trying to get that body count up. Be like, yeah, I bagged 50 chicks. Is that why? Bragging rights?
No, I don't know. I wouldn't talk about this.
Listen, man, you got to speak on it. People are watching. People are
Yeah.
looking for advice. You got to speak on it. Why?
The world is telling every man to try to get as many bodies. That
Why
they're
else
saying
do you
now.
go to the club?
Yeah, they're like,
No. Hold on. Let me help you out because you're getting all nervous. The people who go to the club, men go to the club and they're like, man, I hope I meet this girl. I hope I get to go home with her tonight. That's their whole. That's what they're going. And any guy who says no, that's not. I'm just looking for community. Nah, you're like less than the 1%. The rest of you trying to go home with a girl.
They said what? They're gonna go for
find community. But I'm saying, go out with my friends, hang out with my community.
Oh,
but what I'm
I
saying,
never heard that. Okay,
yeah, that's my point. That's my point, Cook. That's my point. So listen, what I'm saying is, there's no guarantee a guy will go home with a girl, but a woman. If a woman goes to the club and she wants to go home with a dude, she's gonna go home with a dude. She may not be the dude she wants, may not be the dude she likes, but she can go home with a guy. Bottom line. So I'm saying there is sort of a braggadocious statement. Why else would Will Chamberlain come out and say, I slept with 25,000 women? Which I did the math on that. Yo, do the math. He said 25,000 women while he was in the NBA. That's like 7 chicks a day. No breaks. I mean, it was ridiculous. I mean, I'm just saying, like, why else would you brag about that? So this guy giving this advice, not only is it unbiblical, but talk about the baggage. What baggage? What do you mean? What if people watching don't understand what you're talking about? Tell us.
a big problem. I remember when I was working at either Gottschalk's or Macy's. It was this guy that was basically sleeping around a ton. And he said this always stuck with me. He's like, man, I still haven't been on the Asian chick yet. I got to go to Asian chick. His thing was just like, how can I want to try being with all different types of girls, different body styles, different race. It was like, that was the goal. And that's the goal for so many different men. I think that's the better way to do it. Figure some stuff out before I get married. Find out what I like. That's going to make everything better when you get married. It's not. According to God's word, that's not going to make it better. It's going to make it a lot worse. You're bringing all this baggage. You're bringing in different experiences that you're going to be thinking about when you're with your spouse now. It's going to mess so many things up. But the world's going to tell you, go figure things out, then find the one that matches what you really like. But it doesn't happen that way. Because guess what? You're going to get tired of that and like, man, remember that one girl? That's what's going to happen.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what's going to happen.
Listen, young man, I'm gonna give.
Yeah,
him some
speak to the young
advice,
man.
okay?
Go ahead. Speak on it.
So your question was, when should you get married? Okay.
Well, this guy's advice here.
He's
yeah.
saying not till 35. Find you a good girl. Okay. Graduate high school and college, or while you're in college, find you a good girl.
A good girl, a good woman of God.
Good woman of God.
There you go,
okay?
right there.
Thank you, Pastor. Find you a good
Okay.
woman of God and marry her as quickly as possible.
There you go.
Okay, and start.
So
that,
where do
because-
they find a good woman of God?
First, you need to be a man of God.
Oh,
Hey!
now,
Good place
see the shot.
Good
Now,
place to
wait,
start.
I was talking to the men of God.
No,
here.
hold on. Now Deshaun's gonna get all the comments. We just love it when the bishop
the
talks.
Yeah.
He's
Full
so
of wisdom.
wise, full of wisdom. Go ahead, Bill.
No, but
Go ahead, Bill.
no, 'cause we
First
all
you gotta
know
be a
a
good-
guy will fake anything to get with a girl. She look good. She love Jesus. I love Jesus too. Let's go.
You serving, I'm serving. Let's serve together. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So find her, right? Marry her.
Okay.
Right? Start your life together. Like all this stuff that we talk about, sleeping with women, the money, it's all empty stuff, guys. They're not going to be satisfying. You're going to be sitting at 35, 40 years old, or 35 years old, and you're going to sit there like, man, I don't have any kids, right? I'm starting this clock late, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And you're going to have
35.
regrets after regrets after regrets. I'm telling you, every person that's slept with 50
So why do
women
you?
is
So
gonna
why
have
do you think
regrets
he's
in
giving
the-
us advice? Why do you think he's actually
Well,
saying
he's
that?
fooled.
But why did he get so much run?
I don't know. I mean, this is what the generation's at right now. It's just to try everything out before you make a commitment.
Is it possible we have young men out there who don't know what they're searching for? They don't know what they're looking for. Steve Harvey had this. I saw this clip. Say what you want about Steve Harvey, but you're gonna find some clips out there. The dude spits facts.
Yeah.
He spits some wisdom and some facts. So this young guy was on there, and this young boy, he was like 16. And I don't know his father's situation. I just know he wasn't in the picture for whatever reason, right? It don't matter. I think I sent it to you guys. And he had asked, he goes, well, I don't know how to be a man. My mom's trying, but I don't know. And there was other men behind him. And Steve just went off on this night. That's why we need men to mentor men. This young brother is stuck. He don't know what to do. And he going to be a product of the system if we don't do something. And he literally turned around to the other men in the audience. He goes, son, where do you live? He goes, I think he said I live by South Central. All right, so the LA area. Which one of y'all live here in the LA area that's going to take this man and show him how to get a job, how to move up in a company, how to fill out an application to go to school, all this stuff. Man, 4 guys' hands shot up. The mom started crying. Oh, I feel so much better now because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to do it. And the kid started crying. He was like, oh my gosh. That's what we need. We got a generation that's hungry. And they turn into TikTok. They turn into these quacks who are giving advice. 50 women. Man, you know how many spiritually transmitted diseases you're going to get with 50 women? You're going to have every demon and every critter all up in you because you decided to sleep with 50 women. This ain't good. And all that's going to do is pervert you and get you all into some stuff that you don't want to be into. But yet it gets all this run because we got people looking for stuff because we haven't done our job. It's on us as men. We need to be going after every 16, 17, 18-year-old boy we can find. It's like, hey, let us teach you biblical masculinity. We can't leave it up to these other people who are not following the word of God. That's on us. I mean, am I wrong? Like, you
Well, I think you don't know what you don't know, right? So I think every generation, whether you're a female or a male, it has this part of growing up where you are trying to find yourself or you're trying to figure out life.
How old were you when you felt like you actually knew what you was doing?
I'll be 39 this year.
Still trying to figure it out.
What about you, D? How old were you when you figured out?
I haven't figured nothing out yet. I know I love Jesus, love my wife,
Yeah.
trying to love my kids.
Hey, 2 of them are my god kids. You need to love them. I
love them.
This is important.
Hey, no matter what, I'm gonna take care of them.
Okay.
Be there for
Okay.
them.
Listen, for me, marriage and kids matured me, man. I had responsibility. It wasn't about
Could you
myself
imagine
anymore. Like,
what would? Should I ask you? Because I know your wife watched. Should I ask what would you be doing if you wasn't married with kids right now?
If
Is
I
that-
was married
yeah,
with
is that
kids?
a bad question? Is that a setup?
I mean, what would all of us be doing when we were
Oh,
married
see,
with
he
kids?
deflected.
Yeah.
He deflected. He threw you guys.
not
Okay,
the only one.
let's turn it to this side. What would you 2 be doing if you weren't married with children right now? Let's talk about that. They're gonna get spiritual.
I would be a
Watch.
pastor.
Yeah. Deshaun, I'll be working at Macy's still.
You should do your best to get married in your 20s.
Oh, gosh.
I'd still be trying my baseball career. Man.
I'm telling you.
Something.
You'd be a bullpen catcher?
Bullpen catcher in the major league.
Hey, there you go.
But I do believe this, that it's better to be single than married to the wrong person.
Oh, absolutely.
To rush in and just marry the wrong person and you're just stuck. Someone who doesn't want to follow Jesus, whatever it may be, that you get on the same page, like, I mean, you're setting yourself up.
Let's do this. We got to segue to something else. We're going to segue to it. But how about next week? We'll do a little teaser. How about next week we talk about some of the things that we'll give some marriage advice next week. Not a lot, but we talk to the young people out there and we say, hey, like if you're going to be looking for a spouse, here's some things you need to take into consideration. We'll just speak from experience. I think I'm the one who's been married the longest on here because I am the oldest. But going to be celebrating 27 years. How long you been married?
14. So I think that's great advice because, real quick.
Go ahead.
So great advice just to encourage folks. I think younger folks are going through a generation.
Like, what am I looking for? Yeah.
Where there's divorce. Like, why would I want that? You know, why would I want to enter into a marriage where there's a lot of that? And we can speak that.
Let's speak on that because, like, I was thinking the other day, like, you don't want a girl who always parades herself on Instagram showing everything off. You don't want that girl.
So what are you telling Russell Wilson?
I already said, hey, dude, why you bring my boy up, bro? I told you I like Russ. And I already told him, like, oh, man, that break my heart. Why you got to do that? 2 weeks in a row, you got to bring that up, bro?
I didn't bring it up last week.
I know, but you brought it up today. I kind of I mourned.
I didn't even know about it. You brought it up last week.
I mourned last week, okay? Like, it was a grieving process. I like that dude. All right, anyway. But, like, you don't want that. And one of the things, if you're going to get into a serious relationship with her, she needs to put that away, right? Because she's off the market, so to say, if we can say it that way. Well, we can say anything we want, but we'll say it that way. So, anyway, we'll talk about that. We'll run that back for all the young bucks who be watching, and we'll get that going. So going back to this generational thing, this is a real interesting thought here. Okay, so I want to talk about something. This is not Offended Podcast. We talk about culture and its influence on the church. Okay, now y'all didn't see this one coming because I didn't prep you for this. This is something that I wanted to talk about on TikTok. We're gonna flip a script now on TikTok. And you can Google this if you want to. Nothing bad on this Google search. Okay, nothing bad on this Google search. But there's this growing trend about trad women.
A what?
Trad, T-R-A-D. That's short for traditional women. And so there's this fad going on where these young girls are talking about being stay-at-home moms, homemakers. Old school Miss Beaver, old school homemakers. So their whole goal is to stay home, to have kids, to clean the house, to have a meal ready when their husband comes home. Like traditional, think of Ms. Beaver. You know, when June was home and Ward was off working, came home, the dinner was done. And then they also take great pride in fixing themselves up so when their husbands come home, they look their best. Blowing up on TikTok and everybody's coming after them. All this hate. You guys are setting women back 100 years. I can't believe you would do this. What would ever possess you? You know your self-worth. Why do you feel like they're getting the blowback? What do you guys think of? What do you guys think? Why are people so angry? I thought we lived in the time of you can do you. What happened to do you?
You can't not do that.
Talk to me.
Well, you have to do only what people like. Whatever the mainstream, wherever that mainstream is running, you have to do that. That is, if you do that, go ahead, do you. But if you do anything different, then there's always pushback. Always.
Yeah, you can't do whatever you want. You have to do their agenda. It's funny, someone had asked a black lady, is it okay to be white? And she said no. And I was like, what? She said, like, no, it's not okay to be white. She was like, the guy was like, wait, what? It's not okay to be white? She's like, no, it's not okay. He was like, he was just dumbfounded.
Okay, but what do you do?
I don't know.
Hold on. It's tricky.
It's tricky.
It's tricky.
See?
You say it every time. It's tricky. So what does Mike do?
I don't know. There was no answer.
Hold on. I got a better question.
Yeah.
Bill, what do you do with the half of you that's white?
Ooh. Well, I'm walking a little.
He's walking crooked. Hold on. So what was the answer?
There was no answer. They were just like, they kept asking more questions. I forgot. She didn't have an answer. She just like, no, it's not okay to be white because you're oppressive, whatever, stupid stuff. But I'm saying to that point, if you don't fit their agenda, they don't like it. So it can't be white, can't be a homemaker, all these different types of categories.
I haven't met a single white person that was just like, man, I chose to be white. You don't get to choose. It is tricky.
Yeah, it's not, like
know,
going to the, it's not like going to the paint store.
Choose a color.
You're holding up all the different cards, put it against the wall. I'll take this one.
I'll take that ultra bright white.
Yeah.
Cool December white. I'll take off white.
Yeah, off white. What is it? Mocha white.
Right, bro. No, that's supposed mocha white. Yeah, it's a cream base. Yeah, dude, that's hilarious. So,
But look, if that trad,
yeah, trad women. Yeah,
if trad women was doing all this for their wife to come home. They would
the script.
They would say this is the best thing ever.
He's right. That's a good point.
That's an agenda.
Man, that was good, Mike. Score one for Mike today. That was good. You don't always get points, but when you do, they're good points. They're solid
I'll take
points.
it.
What do you think about that, though? Why do you think they're all mad at him? Hey, I'm not gonna lie. I went down a rabbit hole, started reading some of the comments. Woo, bro, there was some smoke, bro. It was bad. Like, I mean, the name calling and then just the cussing. I was like. I thought, and I love how the social media is always put for community rules. Let's keep everything civil. And I'm like, well, y'all didn't filter that. That's bad.
Yeah, I don't think that these young women know what men are looking for, right?
Okay.
I think if you were to take 100 men and you were to ask them, do you want this traditional woman or do you want somebody who slept with 50 guys? Right.
Well, don't ask homeboy because he
right. Who's all independent, right, and all this stuff. And you're asked 100 men, where do you think that falls in percentage-wise?
Hold on.
Traditional woman versus
No, you just asked a great question. I gotta ask. What do you think that would really be if we took a blind study? That was good. If we took if we took a blind study and we sat down 50 guys, an anonymous questionnaire, we said, would you choose a woman who's been with nobody? And we'll just say 20 guys. And we polled, let's just say 10 guys. What do you think that percentage would be? How many of those 10 guys would say they'd prefer a woman who's been with nobody?
100%.
You're going 100?
Oh, 100%.
You're going 100?
No, they already done podcasts. They're talking about this.
Mike, what are you throwing out there?
I was gonna say 8 or 9.
Jake, what day you might get paid? What you saying? That's why Jake ain't getting paid. That's why Jake ain't getting paid.
They wanted to ask these guys. They were saying like, no, once we want to settle down, we want to find someone who hasn't been with a bunch of guys. And all these girls get super mad. Like, that's unfair. You guys aren't treating us right. Da, 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 da. And he was like, look, life's not fair. Guess what? When you're 18, they're talking to these girls who are just like basically sleep around. When you're 18, you got to go get on yachts just because you look pretty. There's zero guys who get, because they look good, get to go on a yacht.
That's
you
true.
You just get to look good and go on a yacht.
Hey, I can back that up with facts because I was 19. No, I was 18 and I was working at a restaurant, high-end restaurant as a sous chef. And one day my boy called out and we had to cater for this rich dude's party. Like, he was wealthy. He had his yacht coming in. He had all this food that had to get made because he had to entertain people. So I'm thinking, man, he entertained people like other businessmen, other stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a well-known, wealthy dude, like wealthy. I'm thinking, okay, well, yeah, you got, people going to walk around polos. So I cook up all this. I cooked up a grip of food, right? And I had to go deliver. It's not far because my restaurant was on the water. It wasn't far. And so I get to the yacht. No, it wasn't. It was not other rich people. Now, there was other rich dudes. And I'm talking older dudes, and every girl on that yacht was probably under 23, 22, and they were all dimes. Like, they just, like, you could tell. I'm not saying it was an escort service or nothing, but I'm saying you could tell they was only there for the fun. Because I was like, there's no way dude's pulling that right there. There's that dude, he like 70, there ain't no way that's his girl. And like, and homeboy pulls me aside, he goes, hey, do you want to just serve all the food and stay here? I was a believer. I just got saved. I was like, I can't stay here. Like, I can't stay. This will compromise me. He goes, oh, okay. And like, no, I told the I just got saved. Like, I've barely been born again. Like, I can't stay here. I got to go. Gave me the fattest tip, though. It's like, here, man, gave me a whole bunch of money. Said, thank you for delivering. I'm like, oh, I got to go. Like, you're right. How'd they get on that boat?
And so this guy was arguing because he's probably in his like late 30s or early 40s. He's like, now that I have money, I can choose. And I can say, I can make you secure financially. He's like, I'm going to go find a good woman that I can do that with. He's like, it ain't going to be none of you guys. Ain't gonna be none.
What do you mean by a good woman? Like that? That's
Ones that have
important to get
all
married,
this,
right?
basically all these girls talking about how they sleep around, their body count. Da, da, da. He's like, when I'm ready to settle down, it ain't gonna be any of you. I'm gonna go find the good girl who hasn't been sleeping around. Yeah, who's been holding out, who hasn't been sleeping around, and that's to be my wife.
And so this is what I mean. Like young women don't really understand what men are looking for when they're ready to settle down and get married. Wow. Right.
Yeah, that was our whole argument. And these guys are unbelievers. Obviously, he's still sleeping around. But he's like, one way to settle down. This is the girl.
It is a double standard. That's a good point. It's double standard in some things. Remember, fairness is only about opportunity, not outcome. We got to always remind people that. It's Not Offended Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, share, hit the 5-star button, give us a review. One day, Jake might get paid. Although Jake wasn't listening to my question. That's okay, Jake. We forgive you. We love you. It's all good. Shout out to everybody watching us, tuning in. Loving to see all those comments. We do our best to get back to you on those comments. So I want to talk about, man, I'm still tripping, Mike. You said 8 or 9. I don't know that it's 100. I don't know if that I'm 100% with these guys. I was more with 8 or 9 on that, my own opinion, but we'll look at those studies. So remember, next week, a little teaser. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk a little bit about advice to the young men out there, how to find a good, godly woman. Okay. So I want to talk about, in our last segment today, I want to talk about the woke segment. I want to talk about a woke segment today. And there's a rise in my eyes, and I follow a lot of churches' social media, and because I'm in the church world, that's what I do, and I noticed something that I don't want to say it's an epidemic, but I'm noticing a rise, if I can say it that way. We touched a little bit on it last week, and that's the compromising in the worship ministry. Like we see all these worship leaders now that are falling, getting into sexual promiscuity and all this stuff. But there's something that's the elephant in the closet, the elephant in the room that nobody's talking about. And that is, I've been noticing an uptick in gay worship leaders. And I don't see the church doing anything about it. Recently came across a church, and this person, you could tell if you just do a little stalking, that they definitely are of the gay lifestyle. And yet this is going to be their worship leader. And they even have a trans person who's on their worship team and all this. So my question to you guys in today's woke segment, does the worship community get a pass just because they play an instrument, or should there be a level of standard there?
Man, they get passes all the time.
Wow, Deshaun. Tell us how you really
it
feel,
depends
Deshaun.
on the level of talent or what? More talented?
Jake,
more
get in here and get a mic, Jake. He's coming after y'all.
man.
I know.
He's coming after y'all, Jake. My gosh.
Let's be serious. No, they shouldn't get a pass. They shouldn't get a pass.
Well, talk to me. I showed Mike. Mike seen this person was clearly struggling.
I got great gaydar. Yeah.
Mike.
What?
Where do you come up with these? Where do you come up with these ones, Mike? Where do you like? Do you practice? Do you rehearse? What do you?
No, I just.
Okay. Anyway, let's move on. Okay.
Who I am.
So you were gonna say?
No, Michael say something.
Well, why would they
get a pass? I'm asking. Well, it's seeming to me you got worship leaders who sleep around. They get a pass.
So do you think it's based on like
does their skill give them a pass?
Okay, so most people can do security. Most people can usher. Most people can do the majority of the different areas in ministry.
Okay.
Right? Majority, not all
Now,
of them.
we helping pastors out on this one. We're helping out church folk on this one. Like, help us out now.
But not everybody can lead worship. We could try.
So you ain't singing?
I could lead worship. Like, okay, you guys ready to sing? Okay, you guys sing.
Kurt Franklin. There you go. You ain't gotta see you talk.
Kind of like a cheerleader with a microphone.
Okay.
But so maybe that's what they feel. They feel the pressure of there isn't anybody to fill that position, or that skill level is really so good. It's like, man, they're a phenomenal singer, or they're a phenomenal electric guitar player, or whatever it may be, and so maybe we kind of turn the blind eye.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, that's good. Yeah, you compromise for someone's talent.
I'll say, 100%. You should have different standards. When anybody is on stage and given a mic, you're going to be held to a higher standard. But this applies in all areas. You mentioned, a gay worship leader. But if that worship leader was married and was sleeping around with on his marriage, he'd be coming off the stage too. You're not going to give him the mic. If this worship leader was out, and had an addiction, some type of addiction, he's going to come off a stage. And so there are certain standards that apply across the board for somebody that's on
You're right.
giving a mic. So
I think
right.
I think this even happens with pastors too. If someone's a gifted speaker,
Yo, we read that article. Tell everybody about that article we read where the pastor got caught with the head deacon's wife, and he went to apologize. Remember?
oh yeah, I mean that was a long time.
That's like
yeah.
8 years ago. Remember we were tripping?
Pastor got caught sleeping with like the deacon's wife.
Like the guy literally like caught them.
Yeah, like
he jumped out the window butt naked. Remember?
Jumped out the window, ran. The next day, they had a video of it. The church is there clapping for supporting him.
man,
No, we're not. No. Like that was Saturday night. He's sleeping with her on a Saturday night. Next day he showed up at church. Right? That's what the article said.
They still backed him.
And all he said was, "Hey, I made a mistake, but I'm here to give Jesus. I'm here to repent." Blah blah. And the church stood up, gave him a standing ovation. Oh, you are pastor.
But yeah, you were right. It's not just. It's people who are extremely talented and charismatic. They get passes.
Yeah.
They absolutely. The pastors get passes.
That made me feel so good though. You know, when they could really preach. You know, I feel so good leaving, or they could really sing. I felt it, and it's like they don't care. They look past it.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen stories of pastors who you're like, wait, how is he have a microphone right now? And people turn a blind eye because of the gift.
Okay, so real quick to help our church folk out there who watch us, kind of give me a little procedure. What should happen? So, like, does it depend on the infraction? Does it depend on what's going on? So, like, say you brought up an example of the worship leader slept with another person. We'll say unmarried. Mm-hmm. What should happen? Should they be sat down for 30 days, 60 days? What should happen? You guys help me out a little bit.
He literally backed
nobody got
up.
no stones to throw. He leaned back.
I think context.
Okay, context.
You got to know context.
Okay.
You know, is this your first conversation, second conversation? Does this person have a history of that?
Okay.
You know, did they come into the ministry with that baggage?
Okay.
You know, you have pastors who step down from one church because of an infraction and they go to another church. So they're bringing all that with them. So it's like, if you had somebody who was doing it for the first time, or you had somebody who's like a repeat offender, I think you treat them differently. But I definitely don't think that anybody should.
Nobody gets passed.
I don't think anybody should have a pass at all. If you're living an unbiblical lifestyle, what you do off the stage matters more than what you do on the stage.
Oh, come on.
And so if you don't deserve a microphone, you get to have one.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
What you got, D? What you want to add to that?
No, Mike's right. I mean, the only reason I have a hard time with people that like misuse the Bible. That makes me mad. Like Mike Todd. That's why I can say that stuff about Todd and don't care. Okay. Because people say like, "Oh, you went too far" or whatever. Like I don't care. Like what he's doing, the stuff he said like in the last 2 weeks ago was like ridiculous. When people make
he just had Pastor Robert on his stage too yesterday. I was like, really?
Yeah.
I love
And so
Pastor
stuff like
Robert.
that makes me mad. Like, won't you correct him? Like he's confusing the gospel. Like that makes me mad.
Well, we don't know if he did, so let's not.
Oh, well, in that sermon he did. Mike Todd? Oh, he corrected him. Oh,
sorry. We don't know if Pastor Robert.
Yeah, he might
him
have.
up.
But isn't he kind of signing off on him by being up there like pretty soon after that?
Listen. I don't know, and I really don't like to speak on what I don't know, and I don't know if he shot him a text.
You're right.
I don't know if he cleaned it up a little bit. You know, two different generations right there. I don't know. Maybe Pastor Robert did, and maybe Mike's just chewing on how he's gonna. Remember when he did that thing where he spit on his brother? He cleaned that up. I don't know. Somebody text him or what? So I don't know.
Yeah.
But do I think he needs to clean up? Yes. I will not argue that, but I don't know who's doing that. So, but go ahead.
Yeah, but people actually just make mistakes for being human. Like, man, I like to have a lot of grace for people.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't.
So
I don't
you
know
agree with the context? You got to see.
Yeah,
the context.
I don't know what the punishment should be, but it's like, man, I always feel like, man, that should be on stage, but just. I don't know. I love people having grace for people when they make mistakes.
Yeah.
So.
I'm the same. I think you need to address it immediately, right? And so
we do.
You address it immediately, and it's really up to the heart of that person. Like, are they
That's a good
willing
point.
to correct their errors, right?
Yeah.
If they're not, then they don't go back on, right? Let's get this right first before we put you back on that platform.
Yeah.
So.
This is the Not Offended podcast. I'm going to end off with this segment with this. So I love everything you guys said. I think it's 100% spot on. The thing that I look for most, this is just me in correcting, and because I agree, lots of grace. We're fallible. We got a huge target on our back, whether you're a worship leader or a pastor. I agree with all that. The number one thing I feel, according to Scripture, and you guys could all correct me, and those who watch correct me. I think Jesus is always looking for honesty. That's why last week I wasn't calling out Jeremy Foster. People are like, "Oh, you calling out Jeremy Foster?" No, I'm just saying keep it real, keep it 100, keep it honest. Like, I don't care if you don't feel like people can handle honesty. Keep it honest. I'm waiting for the first dude. When I sit dudes down who stepped out or who got caught, whatever. First thing I tell them is, like, just shoot me straight, because I don't want to have to circle back. I don't want to have to circle back because you lied. Just shoot me straight. If you was talking and getting with three different women, just say, "Yo, man, it's this woman, it's that woman, it's that woman. Here's what was going on. Here's how it's." Just shoot me straight. I will not blink at anything you tell me. But what I don't want to do is help you out here to come back 6 months later because your wife found somebody else. Oh, he was talking to her too. No, keep it 100. I think the Lord is looking for honesty. What did he tell the woman at the well? You were right in saying. But yet the fact is the person you're with ain't your husband either. See what I'm saying? I believe God says you got to come to him in a spirit of truth. You got to come to him, worship him in spirit and in truth. You got to have it in truth. That's why I'm like, man, if people keep it honest, if they tell you from the jump, here's what happened. I'm not giving an excuse. I'm just telling you what happened. Here's what happened. Here's how far it went. Then there's nothing else to be exposed. If you leave something in the closet, it's going to get exposed. You need to hear me. The devil's just waiting for an opportunity to expose that. So if somebody comes to you and they come clean, they come correct, they're like, just keep it 100 with me, keep it honest, then you might as well just tell them the whole thing. And then be honest about it. Yep, as a man, I gave in. She's hot. And I gave in, and that's exactly why I gave in. I gave in to the carnality of who I am. Just be honest about it, because sooner or later you're going to get exposed. Number one thing I'm looking for is honesty. And I won't blink at it. Just give it to me. Just give it to me, transparent. Give it to me honest. And just be open with it. And if you do that, then we're going to stave off all this other stuff. But if you lie and you got to cover your tracks, it's going to come back around. Nobody gets away with anything. Jordan Peterson said that. In my lifetime, I've never seen anybody get away with anything. And you will not be the exception to the rule. Yeah. This has been the Not Offended Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hey, check it out. Hit us on Spotify. Hit us on iTunes. Get us on YouTube. Leave a comment. Leave a 5-star review. Why? Because one day, Jake might get paid. God bless y'all. Peace. We're out.